What's up, everyone? Welcome to this section called Needed Conversations. For this episode, I had the chance to speak with Brooke Starkey, and she just crushed it. We had a great conversation about what to do or how to approach the girl that you're interested on. So if that's something you're just kind of like intrigued by, or you just want to learn some stuff, I encourage you to pay attention. Don't forget to subscribe and like this episode. There's a lot more content coming, even better, and I'm getting better as I go with the editing and everything, the content and everything that's gonna be happening. So let's go. Before we go into it, I just want you to introduce yourself to everyone. Just tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. I'm Brooke Starkey. I'm a senior at Kent State, and I major in magazine journalism and minor in fashion media. I interned with AG at Elevation in the summer of
Woo!
2019. AA.
Still the
I
best
was
class.
still the best class. No hate,
Yeah.
no shade, but definitely. Yeah, I was a social media intern, and I loved it. But yeah, I don't know what other
Hold
things
on.
there are.
It came off. My aux came off. All right. We're gonna be talking about how to approach a girl you're interested on and think how like real men should do it. So going into the first question, are you ready?
I think so.
All
Ready
right.
to ever be.
Okay. What would you say to men who are interested in talking to a girl but they are scared of doing so?
What did I say to you, man? You're interested in talking to a woman, but scared. Um, don't be scared. I know that's like an obvious answer. It's like, yeah, that didn't help at all. But yeah, don't be scared. I mean, the worst that could happen is like she could say no, or like she could just be really rude and just like ignore you, which if she's really rude and just ignores you, then you probably don't want to talk to her anyways. But
Exactly.
yeah, I would just say like if you're nervous or you're scared, that's okay. And that's a very like natural, normal thing to be feeling. And like, don't get upset about that, but just go for it. Cause I mean, you don't have much to lose, and odds are it'll be a really great conversation.
What would you say will be some of the most like attractive things from a guy when you see him? Like let's just talk from your perspective this time.
For me personally, the most attractive thing is their faith, like their spiritual maturity, and like the way that they adore Jesus. That's number one for me, and I think that that's the most attractive thing. Um, Secondly, kind of going hand in hand with that is like the way that a man loves other people is very attractive to me, whether that's like communicating and conversating and what that looks like. If you're very attentive and you're very um, active with your listening and you actually genuinely care about people. Um, yeah, being a really well lover of people is really big and really attractive.
Right.
Um, yeah, and going with that is like kindness and being very genuine, all those
Yeah.
things. And then
Yeah.
obviously like humor, like that's a gift.
Yeah.
And that can look different for everyone. People have different ways of making them laugh, and people find humor in different things. So
Can you explain a little more why would you say like their faith is something that's really attractive to you?
it's super attractive because obviously in a relationship that I'm looking to get involved in, I would want someone who is equally yoked with me, or someone who can come alongside of me in faith rather than me lead them or them lead me, like us be uneven. And I have always just really wanted someone who can pray very intensely over me, who can pray very intensely with me, who believes in the same God as me, so that
Yeah.
when things happen, or when life gets hard, because life does get hard,
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about where they're running to. I know who they're going to, and I can trust my God. I can trust the Lord that
Yeah.
in those moments and in those seasons or in those times of our life, like the Lord, I can be confident that the Lord will speak to him. The Lord
Yeah.
will protect him. The Lord will guide him, and he will be soft to hearing that. He'll be soft to his spirit to accept that. And so So yeah, it's like security, it's stability, it's everything. So
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes a lot of people forget that if you find someone that really knows how to love God, then they're gonna know how to love you.
right,
Because like one of our main missions as Christians is to love people,
right.
and so when you learn God's heart and you get closer to Him and you just build that relationship, then you learn how to treat people, and then that leads you on. Like whenever you're interested on someone or you're building a relationship, you know how to treat them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, like the way that you love people and the way that you treat people is huge. Like if you're like, it's even like in the little things, like the way that you treat a waitress at a restaurant or the way that
Yeah,
you treat people who are serving you, like that's really big. If you can love other people really well, then they are most likely going to be able to love you really well. But also that
exactly.
comes back to like how they treat themselves, like how do they love themselves, how do they take care of themselves, like that's a really big thing because they can only love as far as they love themselves.
Have you ever had an experience where you were starting a relationship or something like that, and then you just felt like the calling for each other were apart, were different, and you just had to, you know, work through it and just, you know, like in certain way get over it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I've had plenty of experiences like that to where it's we're just not on the same path anymore and that's okay. But yeah, I think that there's definitely ways that you can be in two different professions but be working for the same mission. And I think
Yeah,
like that's the focus is like, are we on the same mission here? Even if our career paths look different, that's okay. It would be really hard for someone working in ministry to be with a non-believer. Like that's really hard, you know?
yeah,
Or I don't know. I definitely think it's possible for someone to be in ministry and your partner or your spouse to
yeah,
be not working in ministry. But again, it's that heart for it
yeah.
in mission. Like what are we
Right.
trying to this year?
What are some signs girls give when they're interested?
Um this one's this one's hard because I feel like it's a person to person thing, you
Yeah,
know, and something because the way that everyone communicates and socializes is very different from the next. And so I hear all the time like people try and like myth bust, like crack the code to dating or whatever and be like,
yeah,
oh, if she uses this emoji, then she's into you. Or if she does this, then she's into you. And I don't know if I fully like stand by all those because like I've seen ones where it's like, oh, if she uses this emoji, which is like so dumb,
yeah,
then she's into you. And I'll be like, well, I use that emoji on my mom. Like, what? Like that makes no sense.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's that's a really hard question to answer for everyone. But I will say what I have seen as a whole, something that's very consistent, um, is like how much time and effort someone is putting into another human. So like if I'm giving you my time and attention, especially like our age, like in college, like we lead very busy lives. Like we have a
yeah,
lot going on. And so if I'm taking the time to communicate with you, if I'm taking the time to call you, to hang out with you, to check in on you, to spend time with you, like I think that goes to show that like I'm at least interested in being around you and I like being around you. And so I think that that time being spent together is at least worth a conversation of like, okay, what's going on? Or
mm,
like going forward, how much time and effort do I need to put in to you for what
yeah.
you deserve? Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah, it does make sense. And yeah, I feel like you just said something really important when it came to like speaking up, because sometimes people just like shy from it or they just don't do it. And I feel like it's really important to speak what's in your mind, because you might be missing on stuff that you don't know.
I find it very, very attractive when a man can communicate really well and really effectively. Like if a man is just very clear about his
Yeah.
intentions, like, hey, I'm really interested in you and I would love to get to know you better. Can I take you out to dinner? That's like so
Oh
nice.
my gosh.
It's refreshing. And you know, it's like nine times out of 10, I will say yes to a date if someone is at least just asking me and is actually really kind and I know them and I know their heart and all that stuff. Because if you can communicate that in a mature way, that's really huge and extremely admirable and extremely respectable. And I just really appreciate that. And I know every single woman that I've talked to really appreciates that. There's nothing more frustrating than being confused, especially when it comes to a guy that you're interested in or not, you know? Like if you're hanging out with a guy or there's like a guy that you're kind of like talking with and you're confused about it, there's nothing more frustrating. And so I would say just like communicate. It's so cliche, but communication is key. Like if you're feeling a certain way, do everything that you can to eliminate gray area and just be very upfront. And that's scary. You know, it's like, oh, I don't know what she's going to say, or she might say no, but it's like, what do you have to lose? Like,
Yeah.
as Michael Jordan says, like you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So it's like, you might as well just communicate it rather, rather than confuse her. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
It does makes a lot of sense. And I feel like there's there's this, there's these situations where sometimes a girl might be interested in a guy, but then maybe the guy's like not catching the signs,
Right.
and sometimes it might be frustrating for the girl that that's happening. Like, hey, I'm like, what else do you want? What will you say to girls that are going through that, that are really interested? They felt like they gave all the signs, but the guy's not coming. Like, it's just not, it's not, he's blind.
I I've been in situations like that as well, and that's frustrating too. But same thing goes for women. Like it's worth the communication. Like if you're really into the guy and he's a really good guy with a good heart and you at least want to see what's going on, like communicate how you feel and be like, "Hey, I don't know where you're at, but this is where I'm at. And so I just want to let you know that these are my intentions with our friendship or our relationship or whatever that looks like." Like communication goes both ways. And I do believe that a man should pursue a woman, but I don't believe that communicating your feelings is pursuit. And so
Yeah.
putting your feelings out there, I used to get confused about that like all the time, especially
Yeah.
in the church where it's like, oh, a man's supposed to pursue me. So I'm just going to like not say anything.
Yeah, like just sit back and wait.
Yeah. But like I've just learned from a lot of men, from men telling me like men are oblivious sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes oblivious to like the signs that girls put out there because again, everyone's different. And so a girl could be like, I'm doing everything. And a guy's like, I had no clue that that's what you were doing, you know? And so yeah, I would just say both ways communicate that and communicate your feelings and eliminate gray area and confusion. And it's scary, but it's worth it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like that's gonna help a lot of people that are in those situations
Mhm.
where they
And side
say
note,
say
sorry,
it, say it. You say
if,
it.
if you're worried about like damaging a friendship, like a lot of times it's like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to lose this friend that I have. If they're really your friend, I don't think that that's going to be detrimental for you to be like, oh, I feel this way about you. You can continue to be friends even if the feelings aren't mutual. If you
Yeah.
communicate that effectively, pray about it and all that stuff. So I think a lot of people get caught in that like, oh, I don't want to ruin our friendship. But I don't think that that should be something that holds you back. I think if you really love that person as a friend and maybe more, then they deserve you to tell them. Like they deserve that
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah, and that's actually having respect for that other person,
Right.
like being able to communicate what's going on in your mind, because
Right.
then like your mind just plays around with you, and you might be interested in that person, and they say something, and it hurts you because you have those feelings, and you never say anything. So how would they know that they're hurting you? So
Exactly.
so it is very important to communicate. Is there anything that you would like to say just in general to either men or women about starting a new relationship? Anything before we end this conversation?
Yeah, of course. Um, I would say just pray a lot. Um, Relationships can be tricky and complicated and confusing at times, and it's a it's a big choice, and it's something that's like very important, and you want to make sure that you're linking up and syncing up with someone who is trustworthy and who compliments you and who believes in you and believes like you, you know, all these things. But I would just say pray about it a lot, consult the Lord a lot, and also seek wise counsel. Like talk to your friends about the man or woman that you're trying to pursue. Um, and get those other voices in your head as well, and get them in on the mix, because a lot of times we can be very tunnel visioned of like, oh, I think he's so great, he's so cute, he's so this, he's so that. And then when you get your friends' voices, like people that you trust or like mentors or whoever that looks like, when you get them in on the mix, they can provide a different set of eyes or different perspective and a different voice to a situation that you only have one view of. And in relationships, it can be very tunnel visioned in a good or a bad way. And so yeah, I would just say pray a lot about it, seek the Lord, and also seek wise counsel. And I think it'll be good if you do that. And yeah, I would definitely just say like give it time, give it room to breathe, rather than just like, and this can go for like saying yes and no. So if you're like super into it and it's like yes, 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 like maybe just take a second and breathe and pray. And maybe you have that time. That's why there's like dating. That's why dating exists, like those first couple dates. So like when you leave, like you have that time to be like, okay, what did I just do? What's going on here? And see how you feel, you know? But then also with like saying no or declining, like, why do I feel this way? Is this really the right choice? Am I saying this just because of this, or do I need to give him another chance? You know, like really just take some time to like process everything and pray about it. And again, make sure that you're seeking other people out for this. Like don't keep it to yourself. Because like I trust myself a lot, honestly, but
Yeah.
when it comes to this, like it's bigger than just me. And yes, it's mine and his relationship, but at the same time, like I want other people's voices in my life to come into that, to make sure that like, because the mind is deceiving, and so my mind can deceive me to think either way. And so that can look like someone being like, hey, I know you're really into him and he looks really great and like all this stuff, but I don't know if y'all are compatible in the way that he's going to lead you, or he's going to be a good match for you. Or it could be like, hey, I don't think that you're giving him a chance, or I think that he deserves for you to give him a chance, or I think you're overlooking this guy, or whatever that looks like. I just would say like seek other people's perspectives and voices that you trust.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me, having this conversation.
Of
I
course,
know,
having me.
yeah, we'll connect again. I know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot more that we have to talk about, but I really hope people like this, and it's very helpful to everyone that's watching it.
Yeah,
And we'll see each other soon. So
you
thank you
will.
so much.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the episode. I hope it really gave you a different perspective on things and just inspired you to keep going. And just letting you know, we're gonna do a second part about all of this, and I'm gonna be doing some polls and questions on my social media. So don't forget to answer, put any of the questions you have and stuff, any things that you would like to hear about. And also don't forget to comment, leave your comment with your thoughts. Maybe you have different ideas, and I would love to see them, so read them. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.